Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this event from Lot to Loan, uh, the 4 pre-designed steps that make you bank ready. I'm very excited to present this. I have never presented this before, and I've been developing this concept for a while now because I feel that this is the major step. This is the most important pillar of the design process. That's why I aim to create this presentation in order for developers, young developers, real estate investors, brokers, understand the process and that they don't make mistakes or unintentional mistakes that would lead them to sort of delays and rejections and community objections and all that kind of thing that you're all familiar with. I'm going to start the presentation now. I've been waiting for about a minute, but I think it's in order to not to waste time. So let me share my screen. So as you can see, the agenda for today is the 4 steps to get from lot to loan. And these 4 steps are the site study, the sketch, the approval, and the loan. But this is the 4 steps, and the 5 phases that I'm going to explain in this in this event or in this webinar talks about phase 1, the site, phase 2, the study, phase 3, the sketch, and phase 4, the secure, and then phase 5, the final phase, which is the sustain. But before that, I would like to draw your attention to the shift, the importance of the shift of the mindset. And that could be summarized in the word design, or the sentence, design isn't just a step, it's a strategy. This is so true because I've been experiencing architecture for probably the last 30 years, and this always applied. Always applied. Design is a strategy. It's not a beautiful object. It's not an impression. It's a strategy following the procedure of getting the plans and the design approved. And these are the 5 points that I would like you to consider and keep close to heart when you think about investment or doing a development or an architectural design. The first one is design is not an aesthetic exercise, it's a direction and a part of a strategic process. Early design decisions drive ROI. It follows the 80-20 rule perfectly. So the 80 is when you do the pre-design or the design schematic design. That is the heavy lift of the design process. The rest is all technical. So if you make a mistake in the early design phase, which is the 80, you're going to lose a lot of money and time trying to fix it later. So I can't stress this enough for people starting out, and seasoned developers and real estate investors know this already, but probably when they deal with architects, they get carried away with the beauty or the aesthetics, and then they kind of avoid having all the steps that I'm laying out in this presentation. So another one is from how it looks to why it works. This is important mindset point. So design is not a style. It's more than a style. And it has to work in different components. The biggest move is sequencing, not a stunning form. As I said before, it's a sequence of things that you have to consider. You have stakeholders on board, and you have to respect those stakeholders, including the community, by the way. And I always consider community, developers, city officials, all of these people, my fellow engineers, are stakeholders in the development of the architecture project. So the conceptual design shows a very attractive potential that reflects policy, community, and place potential. Sorry for the error. So the place potential is what I aim when I design, when I do schematic design, and that has to be in the schematic design phase. You can't create that dynamic later on. Later on is all about implementation. As we do our things in life, we plan, and then we go to the vacation, or we plan and we role in one of the programs that we find interesting and beneficial. So we plan first and we see our resources, we see our creative potential, and then we move forward. So the big picture is that we're going to analyze the site, study, sketch, approval, and loan. So everything to the left of approval, as you can see here, is where you shape the vision and your funding potential. That's what today is all about. So site, study, and sketch are the fundamental steps that you need to take before you go and meet with anyone, whether it's a banker or a commercial funder, or you meet with the city officials. So I'll start with the phase number one, which is start with the site. And this is obvious for many architects, designers, and investors, and also developers. You always start with a site, so you understand the site's DNA, its size, shape, topography, frontage, and orientation. Now, these are one of the sketches that I did. And it shows the topography, where the parking might be, where the entrance is, and all of these site features that we need to take care of and consider. So the context matters. For example, surrounding uses, heritage overlays, adjacency to transit or sensitive users, so the community, the existing buildings, the architectural style, the prevailing winds, and the sun path, and the topography, and the type of soil, and the greenery. All of that is very important. So what I'm saying here is don't skip the site visit. I always do the site visit, even if I do my designs in Vancouver or BC. I take the effort to go and see the site and walk the site to observe access, slope, sun path, and human flow. I also want to feel the energy of the site, the power of the site, because this is a major, it's not a descriptive element. You cannot jot it down, but it's something that you can feel with all your senses, with the five senses, the smell, as I said, the energy of the place. And you need to flag red zones. And by red zones, I mean easements, setbacks, servicing limitations, and environmental risks. In phase number two, we ask the site, what does it want to be, or what do you want to say? And this is a metaphor for, what the zoning review is a mechanical step. But the site has a lot to say in the sense that it has a potential. And in our journey, we need to unravel or discover that potential. In these 4 points, I'm explaining what I mean by that. So zoning review is equal to unlock yield, height, density, FSI, setbacks is repeated, angular planes, uh, as I said, GFA, and all the rest of the zoning requirements has to be analyzed. And as I said before, the easement, the slopes, the floodplains, the contamination, the infrastructure. I've had a site where the developer built on an easement that belongs to the region. And then they paid a lot of money to the designer without knowing that there is easements coming through under the in the middle of the site and cutting it into two halves, and that the site wasn't really a good fit for his development, which was a residential multi-story building. And the GFA is important because you need to calculate what's possible before you sketch anything. Uh, uh, you have to understand your envelope. And by envelope, I don't mean 2D envelope. I mean the 3D envelope, the height, the volume, if you will. And you have to be context-aware planning, to do a context-aware planning to align with neighborhood scale and planning trends. In phase number 3, we talk about the concept. This is one of my favorite topics, and I've been doing videos about that for so many years. The concept is not a form. So my first point that I want to highlight is that to capture a concept is not to draw a form. And the sketch you see on the right is not really a form. It's more of a concept. And I'll tell you why. You don't see any fixed lines or fixed shapes. These are inspirations, if you will. So, for example, the concept is about solidity in the ground floor, a hidden entrance through that inclined wall, an overlapping of layers, the green, probably the foliage on top of that wall or that mass, and then that little soft mass receding in the background with a hint to a glass or glazing or a view. This is a concept, not a form. So we need to explore multiple massing options after we capture the concept, test what fits physically, financially, and socially. So after we capture the concept and our client likes the concept, or our end users, and we have to really test the market and know the trends in terms of the types of uses. And then we have to present that concept not through our own mind, but through the dialogue with the marketplace, with the stakeholders. And then we have to consider the yield and livability. So viability of the project is important. So maximize GFA while enhancing site experience. They go hand in hand. Engage both planners and lenders at this early phase. Visual sketches, simplify early alignment, and then bridge policy, sun, and people. The sketch is where performance and story begins. So this slide is about the importance of the concept which the sketch reveals. It's not any sketch. It has to talk about something that is called the concept. Phase number 3 is aligning the schedule with the design. So we need to summarize our findings clearly. And here I'm moving you through the process smoothly, but at this phase, you have to package up your findings from these phases and be ready to present those findings after you capture the concept, after you analyze the site, after you visit the site, after you study the zoning, or you conduct the zoning review, and find all the site statistics and find that there are no red flags in terms of easement. So you summarize your findings clearly, and then you include 1 to 2 visual sketches or diagrams, and then you prepare early massing and GFA tables, and then you develop your story. And this is to describe the intent. Who is it for? What makes it viable? How it fits the neighborhood? And then you make it bank and planner friendly. Easy to skim sheets when just enough visuals and numbers. And as you can see, I'm taking you from a lot to the loan, which is about convincing or letting the bank or the funder buy into your concept, be convinced and excited about your concept. You have to package these steps into a report and then hand it in to your stakeholders, the city officials, and mainly the banks. So what's in the schematic design set? The schematic design set that I've just discussed in the previous slides has legal survey, access points, surrounding context, and it's called a site plan. And then there is a massing sketch that I link to a very strong and appealing concept. There's the GFA table, there is the zoning summary, and there is the context notes. All of these should be the major 5 ingredients of a schematic design set. In phase 3, and this is a continuation of phase 3, we talk about how the package works for you. So this package addresses the city planner, and it clarifies zoning compliance, it reduces review time, it anticipates community concerns. And then it also goes to construction lender, the banker, visualizes the deal early, supports feasibility and risk assessment, and it boosts confidence. It goes to the builder or the GC, begins constructability thinking, reduces surprises later, speeds up pre-construction. And then finally, the real estate partner or co-investor. So if you're an investor, you have a co-investor or investors, a group of people who have decided to go about doing development, which is a really noble task for me. And that report that we are talking about tells the story of the site, reveals constraints early. This is very important. Easement, contamination, and the rest of it, and accelerates go or no-go action. Phase number 4 is alignment or aligning for approvals. So you have to put yourself in their shoes. Think from their desk, tailor your drawings and notes to answer the questions a planner will ask first, I mean the city planner. Then anticipate triggers, identify elements like height, shadows, setbacks that might draw objections and address them upfront. Support with rationale. Use diagrams and bullets to show how your proposal fits the broader planning vision or mitigates risk. Connects to precedent. If similar approvals exist nearby, reference them. I always do that. Because if there is a higher building and more dense, sometimes I call them monsters, and the city rejects our project because it's probably by a few square meters over the GFA limit, then I show them that precedent and say, look at this precedent, in order not to defy them, but to convince them that there is a case in the neighborhood that I want them to consider. And then the simplify without dumbing down, clear graphics, beautiful but complex visuals. So simplify and clear graphics is the key so that they can digest the information and not be frustrated with the complexity of the drawings. So lenders want clarity. For them, time is risk, and risk means cost. A well-aligned permit timeline produces perceived risk and sometimes interest rates. Show income strategy and pro forma. Use early plans to forecast unit types. For example, you're doing residential or multi-unit residential, rental, sales value, and absorption assumption. You need to do that. You need to show the pro forma, even if it was a conceptual pro forma or a forecasting pro forma. No real numbers yet, but within the parameters of the economy, you have to be realistic and show good numbers. You have to do your due diligence. Zoning is equal to credibility for lenders. So showing that your proposal complies or nearly complies makes your deal more bankable. The design intent adds value. A clear concept isn't just good architecture, it signals foresight and team readiness. It also can motivate the economic development of that region or that place and creates a ripple effect on other sections of the economy, other sections or industries. So in the report, what do lenders want to see? And I'm trying to run the rest of the slides quickly so I don't go beyond the 30 minutes as I promised. And I know you're all busy and probably you need to wrap it up quickly and get into the conclusions. So they want buildable concept, a schematic that shows real potential, not just ideas. And here I want to draw your attention to the difference between the idea and the concept. The concept is a real potential. The concept has the power and the energy, not the form, the power and the energy that indicates there is a great direction that this design will take the whole area, the whole site, and perhaps the whole neighborhood and beyond. So it's not just idea, it's a concept. In zoning checked layout, it has to be avoids rezoning or zoning amendment risk and speeds approval. Sometimes it takes 2 years to do a zoning amendment. City councils meetings every 6 months, and we pay a lot of money, and the land is sitting there without. So it has to be zone checked at the from day one. And as I said, easements or utility lines or contamination has to be flagged, red flagged at the early stage, not later. So site survey is very important. Early pro forma, basic numbers to prove viability, and then permit ready path, confidence that approvals won't stall or won't be delayed. So phase 5 spot the landmines early, and I'm repeating myself here, but this graphic probably shows you the landmines that in your way. Investigate easement, access, and utilities. Scan for environmental contamination. Clarify ownership, boundaries, and legal constraints. Like dispute or vague title issues can derail financing or zoning approvals. And then consider political or community pushbacks. What might trigger opposition? What if your neighbor object to this project? What can you put yourself in their shoes and think about this tall building rising in front of their backyard? Can you design around it? Can you provide shadow study that could prove that they won't be affected? So phase 5, from vision to viability and bridging the concept with financial and regulatory realities. So here are five phases or steps that end with construction, as you see on the graphic to the right-hand side. So it starts with the site potential. It goes to the design moves that I explained. And then you have to buy in you have to get this stakeholders' confidence, or gain this stakeholders' confidence. This is really important. And then you have to prove financial viability, and then you move in to construction with confidence. Confidence and peace of mind is very important. So phase 5, which is the last phase, you get approved, how to make it bank ready, the final pass before you pitch, build confidence visually. Lenders, partners, and even city staff want to see feasibility, not guess it. A clear design plus GFA plus site utilization shows this fast. Answer zoning questions early, support your pro forma, help financial consultants validate assumptions on construction area, unit mix, and potential revenue. Make trade-offs transparent. If the site lost a unit to meet access or tree protection rules, or more soft landscape, show that. It builds trust. Show the other side of potential, or the risks and what ifs. This shows that you are serious, and that builds trust with the bankers or the lenders, and also with the GCs, and also with the city officials. A wrap up. I've got only 2 minutes, perhaps. What we covered today. So we covered the 4 steps to get you from lot to loan, and the 5 phases that makes them work. Phase 1, site. Start with the land's constraints, context, and untapped value. Phase 2. By the way, the untapped value, I mean the potential. What is the value? What is the potential of this site? Phase 2, study, decode zoning, schedule, and feasibility before design begins. Phase 3, sketch, explore and communicate smart design moves through compelling schematic sets. Phase 4, secure, package it for approvals, and build confidence with lenders. Phase 5, lay the groundwork for long-term value, meaning, and environmental performance. And this is the motto, the last sentence: every step is early, every phase is essential. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope I wasn't over schedule, because I'm always concerned about over schedule and over budget. So thank you for joining me. Let's stay in touch. For those who participated, I will get them the early design kit, includes sample sketches, pricing guide, and real-world case study as a bonus, as a thank you for attending this short webinar to show how early decisions driving funding success. And then you can always book a free 20-minute call with me to discuss your project and how schematic design can unlock site potential. And then you're welcome to subscribe to our newsletter, Schematic Advantage, on LinkedIn. And of course, you can DM me on LinkedIn as well to request the early design kit that I mentioned as a first point. Get the early design kit. This is the link that shows my profile on LinkedIn. You can DM me with any request, with any questions. And for those who attended, this recording will be emailed to them shortly.